Please welcome America's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
My mother and father-in-law lived in Las Vegas, and he would just kind of go around to plumbing vans at gas stations and knock on their window and go, how much did you make last year? Right. And they'd say like 60, 70, 80,000. And he would call his daughter, my wife, and say, you know, these guys out here are making this much. And my last year in Michigan, I made 32,000. So this sounds like significant money to us. So eventually, while she was about 7 months pregnant, we moved to Las Vegas, and we didn't have any extra money, right? 32,000 a year. It's not like a lot of disposable income, even in Detroit. Way worse in Vegas, I would find out when we got there. But we're going to leave and drive to Las Vegas with a Grand Cherokee pulling a U-Haul trailer. And 15 minutes down the road, probably, we hit some construction debris and spun, and that trailer came around and smacked my wife's door, just bam, and then spun the car around till we were facing the wrong way on the freeway, and like cars are going around us. So I think we blew both tires on her side in that construction debris. So cops come and we get helped out there. So I fly her to Las Vegas and then fly my brother-in-law back to drive with me. And when we get there, man, I don't have any spare money. And I haven't, like, you know, the internet was around, but it wasn't what it is today, right? So we get there and unpack Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday morning I borrow gas money from my father-in-law because those flights broke me. And I used my mother-in-law's little computer you remember MapQuest? I didn't have a TomTom or a Garmin or any of that. Yep. There were no smartphones yet. So I print out directions from their townhouse to a plumbing company, to another plumbing company, to another plumbing company, and back to their townhouse, right? So this is all I know how to do. I drive to the first one, and the guy offers me $25 an hour. And I'm like, just right there, even if I don't work overtime, I'm now at 50 grand a year, and I'm an overtime guy. So I'm going to make 60, 70. And I liked him. He was like salt of the earth, just a plumber's plumber, you know, the type, just a good dude, honest guy.
Yeah.
Reminded me of what I grew up with. And I told him I have 2 more to hit, but I'll probably be back. And he asked me the name of the other ones. And I told him the next one, which was Yes Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, you don't want to go there. They're just going to teach you how to rip old ladies off. And I was like, what? Like, I wasn't familiar with hyperbole or selling text or anything like that. So my instinct was like, how are they in business if they're known for ripping people off? And he's like, well, you'll see. They're going to try to get you to be a salesman, but it's all about ripping people off. And I had not heard of this concept, but it didn't matter. I still had to hit these 2. So I get there and I walk in the front door, and a lady I would come to know later named Mona asked me what I need. And the plumbing manager's not here, but she's going to go get me an application. So I have a seat, and a guy comes walking in named Lance, good looking, like 6'1", very fit, very clearly has money, but he just struck me as somebody who didn't exactly grow up with it. Like maybe even had a childhood like mine. So I just kind of instantly respected him. And we have a little back and forth, and he asked me what I'm trying to be. And I said, well, I'm a plumber. And he said, is that all you want to be? Which, you know, plumbers aren't going to take that real well, you know, especially
Good
third
question.
generation.
Yeah.
And I said, well, isn't that enough? And he said, well, I mean, yeah, that's fine. If that's all you want to do, have you ever thought about learning to sell? And I kept my eyes from rolling, but obviously that previous conversation hit me in the head, and I'm like, now I'm just trying to get out of here, because everything that guy said was probably 100% accurate. Now I'll tell you this, Lance, Ken Goodrich's GM at the time, did not strike me as a guy who was out ripping people off. And I feel like I have a pretty good handle on who is that and who's not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But he said, I'll tell you what, you come to the conference room with me for 30 minutes, have a conversation. Whether you want to come to work for us or not, I'll give you, I want to say it was like a $50 Visa gift card or something. It's like $50. And I needed gas money anyway, right? So I said, all right. And I don't think I was in there for 10 minutes before I'm signing paperwork.
Mm.
And I don't remember the words of the conversation, unfortunately, which really sucks because I remember a lot of things from then, but not. But what I remember was him very clearly articulating the difference between a plumber who's out there ripping people off, and a plumber who is an expert communicator and is able to relay what he feels and knows in his head and his heart to another person in a way that seems genuine and believable. And I was the first guy. I wasn't the second, but I definitely wasn't the third. Mm-hmm. And he said, imagine a world, right? He asked me if you can look back on last year, if you recommended something to a client, what percentage of them would you say bought? And I said, maybe 50. And he gave me a look like he didn't believe me, but he said, all right, let's say 50. Now imagine you're on performance pay. So you get commission, right? This X percentage of anything you sell and install. Now imagine you didn't recommend another thing other than what you recommended last year, but instead of 50%, you got 85 or 90. How much would you have made? And I'm like, a lot more than 32,000. That's for sure. Right. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is all we will teach you how to do here. We will teach you how to go in and recommend the things you would recommend anyway, letting the fact that you make money off it have no bearing on that, except the way you're going to speak about it is going to be with authority and passion, and you're going to learn how to actually get it done. Right. Would that be a bad thing? And I'm like, as far as I can tell, that'd be a great thing. Right. So I hit the third company, and the third company offered me 30 an hour. And I'm like, oh man, dang it. And that's a hard pull, because
it is
essentially I was, making 15, 16 at the company before. Right. Yeah. And I still have to go home and answer to my wife, who's 7 months pregnant, sleeping on her mom's couch while I'm sleeping on a top bunk bed above my little brother-in-law who's playing video games all night long. Right. We weren't in the best situation. And $30 an hour would ensure we were going to get out of there a lot faster than performance pay. So I get home and I give her the high five move. I'm like, we're going to crush it this year. And she's like, ooh, what happened? I told her about the 3. And I said, I signed up with Lance at Yes Plumbing. And she says, all right, what's the hourly? That's the best part. There isn't one. That whole meltdown situation that we recovered from pretty quickly. And I did. One thing I remember for sure was my very first call I ever ran was a faulty Moen 1222 cartridge in a tub and shower valve. And I did not sell it. I left empty handed, and I was like, oh, this was not a good move. Right. The whole way to the next call, I'm kicking myself, but ended up being pretty well. And then from there, I carried working. That was Ken Goodrich's shop in Las Vegas before anybody really knew who Ken was, but I certainly did at the time. Brent Buckley and I started about a month apart from each other. And anytime we could have a conversation with Ken, we were just all ears and notepads, because the he's so good at what he does. So I went through to about 2011-ish there with the opiate addiction the entire time. I kind of felt like moving might negate that, but little did I realize that stuff's a lot easier to get in Las Vegas than it was in Detroit. So
wow.
I stayed an opiate addict all through my career there. And I would say it really ended my career there because it got so bad that I decided to go to a rehab facility. And the rehab facility I wanted to go to was in Pennsylvania. And this is where my stepdad kicked a 20-year crack addiction in this Christian rehab center called Teen Challenge.
It's amazing.
So I flew out. I slept on my mom's couch for a couple months, I believe, until I could get in, and got in. 14-month live-in program where you get 2 15-minute phone calls a week. And that's the only time I was talking to my wife and 2 kids at the time. But about halfway through, she moved out there and just moved into my mom's basement with our 2 kids and waited for me to finish. So I did that. And needless to say, when I got out of there, I was on a tear. I mean, I had a spiritual change. I went from an atheist to a believer, and clean, sober for the first time in a decade. Still had acquired all these sales skills and all the business acumen that I had learned from Ken and Lance over the years, and now was able to use it finally. And I ran a truck for a little under a year for Benjamin Franklin Plumbing in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And they promoted me to operations manager of the plumbing team. And then about 2 years later to operations manager of the plumbing and the electrical team. And then 2 years after that, vice president of sales of the HVAC plumbing electrical team, because really this is what I excel in, is helping technicians overcome their fear of rejection and overcome their ignorance of what it means to be a professional salesperson, not some con artist.